Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Diana Marcovici, and I'm here with my colleague, Erica. We are both marketing leads at our organization, Flawless Inbound, and we represent a technology implementation firm that's based in Edmonton. Today, we'll be taking you through a presentation where we show you how to leverage your CRM to take your leads and nurture them effectively in a reliable way, and then hand them off to sales and create that sales and marketing alignment through your CRM. Since we are a HubSpot solutions partner, we will be showing screenshots and examples from the HubSpot software, but this presentation will not be based on any technology in particular and can be applied to whichever CRM you are using. Okay.
Perfect. Thanks, Anna. Let's kick off with the screen share for the presentation. So let me just open that up. All right. So like Diana said, we're going to be talking about leveraging your CRM to reliably convert leads into customers. The agenda for today is in 4 points. First of all, what do you need to even get started with the sales and marketing alignment that is required for an effective nurturing campaign? We're going to go over some proven lead nurturing strategies to sort of show you how you can take those leads just from contacts into qualified customers. We're going to go over the handoff to sales, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the feedback that we give as a marketing team to sales, and then the feedback that we get from sales as well to improve our marketing. So firstly, what do you need to start with marketing and sales alignment? So first of all, you may be familiar with these 3 pillars if you are familiar with RevOps or revenue operations. These are the 3 pillars of RevOps as well, but they also are the 3 things that you really need in your CRM and in your organization to get started with effective sales and marketing alignment. So the first one is people. You need to make sure that your team is on board and aware of potential changes that might be happening to processes that will improve your lead nurturing. Change management can be one of the most difficult things. So it's really important that you make sure your sales and marketing teams are working together and in alignment on your platforms. So a single or a well-integrated set of platforms is critical to an effective lead nurturing strategy. You really want your marketing and sales teams to be sharing a CRM or a marketing automation, sales automation pipeline platform so that they can, or have those 2 platforms be integrated, so that they can share data, so that they can share leads, so that things don't get lost in the fray, and so that you as a leader in the organization can get the analytics that you need out of your platform. The third item is processes. Processes is a few things. It's a defined sales process, something that even if one needs optimizing, if you have a defined sales process when you go into your lead nurturing, to your conversion strategy, that's going to be really, really critical. And you also want to know, what are your life cycle stages? So how does your customer journey work? Do your customers come into your website from these sources? Do they then convert to, how do they convert to MQLs? How do they convert to SQLs, sales qualified leads, and so on and so forth? If you know what those stages are and you know what your sales process is, even if you need to optimize them down the road, it's a really good place to get started with alignment. So next up, we're going to talk about the scenario that we're going to go through today. We wanted to use a specific example just to give you a look into some more detailed and easy to use and take away from this example. So the scenario we're looking at today is converting your existing contacts into paid customers. So we're not going to talk so much about lead gen or getting new leads. We're going to focus mostly on how to take contacts who are already in your database. And in the technology sector, maybe they are free users of your existing platforms. Maybe they are people who participated in a trial and who didn't convert, or maybe they are just contacts who you've been working with and haven't yet converted. But in any case, we know that new clients have an average close rate of 5 to 20%. But existing clients, existing customers, people that you already have on, say, a free version, who have already purchased something in the past, have a 60 to 70% close rate. So it costs significantly less and takes a significant amount of less effort to convert an existing contact into a paid customer. So we always recommend that our clients start with looking at their existing database to see if there's any way that they can cross-sell, upsell, resell, do something to convert their existing leads and existing contacts into paying customers. So here's how to start with figuring out who in your database you should target. First of all, there are a few different segmentation scenarios. You can have existing customers who you want to cross-sell to. You can have free users who you want to upsell a paid version to. You can have existing contacts, like I said. But then also you can segment those people by types. So you can talk about, are these people sales leaders, VP sales in their organization, or are these people actual users of the software? Or you can even go segment by industry. Are these people a part of this specific industry? Are they a part of this one? So there's so many different types that you can use. And you want to think about what's most relevant to your business, and especially what's going to change the marketing messaging that you're putting out there. What type of contact, what segment will change the messaging, and then segment by that. So every effective lead nurturing strategy starts by segmenting your database. And here's some tips on how you can do this. One, you can update your forms to collect new info. So if you have a form where you're sending a lead a question, or you're sending them something to download, or the blog subscription, whatever it is, you can update your form so that they're collecting info that will segment them. Ask them what industry they're in, ask them what their job role is, even ask them where they're from, because location can be a type. And secondly, you could have your sales team manually update properties. So as they're speaking to leads, have them go into your CRM and manually change the segmentation properties, or manually add these contacts to lists based on those same types that you've identified. You can also automate segmentation based on other known properties. So for example, if you know that your contact is in this industry, maybe that means you can also automate, say if they're in this industry, then also give them this tag. So that can be something that you automate in your CRM if you have access to workflows and those kinds of automation tools. It's something that you can look into as well. So now let's get into the real tips. I'm going to pass it back to Diana to go over some of the proven lead nurturing strategies that we have used as a company, that we have had our clients use as a company for many years, to get them on a path to higher conversion levels and an optimized marketing and sales alignment.
Thanks, Erica. So as my colleague mentioned, now we're going to talk about how you can really tap into your database, and some of the proven lead nurturing strategies that we always recommend to our clients to get those quick wins, because just to pair it to what my colleague said, it's always cheaper to convert an existing customer rather than obtain a new one. So one of the first things that we always recommend is email nurturing. So you can use an email automation tool for this. So you can just set it and forget it. Some tools include HubSpot. You can use MailChimp, Constant Contact are some examples. And you can automate a series of emails to your different lists with different contacts based on what you know about them, to nurture them into becoming customers or upgrading their current system to a higher tier, like in the scenario that we discussed. So when it comes to emails, something that we always recommend leveraging is smart content or dynamic content. This is a tool available in some more robust marketing automation tools like HubSpot, and it allows you to dynamically change different pieces of contacts based on what you know about the contacts. So for instance, you can send a different paragraph, or you can select one paragraph in your email to be dynamic, to change based on their industry, all in the same email. And what's really helpful about this is that it saves you time, so you don't have to create a separate email for each segment. You can just have one paragraph change dynamically based on the information you have about that contact. So one of the most useful ways to use this feature in the scenario we discussed, which is upgrading free users to paid users, is based on their usage data. So you can integrate or pass data from your system to your CRM, which will give your marketing automation software information on how often or which features your users are using in the software. And you can use the smart content to send them specific messaging regarding upgrades or paid features that might be relevant. In a more specific example, for e-commerce businesses, you can use smart content to recommend products to people based on what they've already bought. You can make some assumptions about what else they could be interested in. Someone who does this really well is Amazon. So some keys to good email nurturing include personalization, like we discussed with the use of smart content. You want to personalize your emails as much as possible, and not only smart content, but you also want to use personalization tokens. So for instance, you can say hello and then insert token for first name here. It just makes it feel more human and less like an email blast that went to a list of thousands of contacts. And you want to try to make it so that the email looks like it's coming from a real person. So in your marketing automation software, you can set it up so the name that's displayed when the user receives the email is the name of a person and not just an info at type of email. People tend to just mark those as spam. Next, you want to send emails frequently enough, but not too frequently. So your business stays top of mind and top of your database's inbox, but they don't get overwhelmed or annoyed, leading them to unsubscribe to your emails. We recommend that you give at least a few days between the first emails. And if there's not too much interaction, then give a longer frame of up to a week or more in between emails for later down the email drip campaign. You also want to try to use compelling subject lines. And the way you can test what resonates with your specific database is through A/B testing. If you go through your reporting and you notice that open rates are low, that is a good indicator that you should try maybe adding some personalization tokens or try to add some urgency to your subject lines to increase those open rates. Next, you always want to offer the option to book a meeting directly. So in the example of HubSpot, users can create a meeting link so that users or recipients of the emails, if they decide that they're ready to meet with someone from the sales team, they can just click on the link and book directly in your calendar. And this just removes any barriers that they might have into making an appointment with someone from your sales team. Lastly, you always want to run your content ideas by the sales team. They're the ones speaking to clients and prospects, which means they have the best insight into how well the emails were received, if there was any confusion in the content, and if there's any specific type of content people want. If your sales team is always saying to you, everyone seems to be confused about this, or they keep asking this question, that is your indicator to update your emails, because those might lead to objections or confusions, which could impact your close rates when you hand off to sales. All right, so moving on, another proven method of lead nurturing is ABM and physical mail. ABM stands for account-based marketing, and this is marketing based on the specific organization that your contacts are from. So it gets a little bit more granular. So if you have a select number of specific accounts that you're trying to upgrade or make another purchase, you can use the ABM strategy to target them directly. This will make it feel even more personable. With ABM, you can create highly personalized content meant to target each of your quote unquote hit list accounts, specifically based on your known pain points or requirements. So this is really helpful for any accounts or contacts that have already started a conversation with sales, and sales has a good idea of what their current pain points are or what their current interests or goals might be. And doing this means you can take advantage of sales automation tools like sequences, calling, etc., just to personalize your content. And you want to make sure you include your sales team in every step of ABM. Their one-to-one communication with the leads will be critical in increasing your success with this method. One of the main strategies used in ABM is physical mail. So if they're already in conversations with the sales team, you might already have their physical address. So sending your clients a physical brochure or some merch gives you just another opportunity to stay top of mind for them. Next, another lead strategy method that we found to be quite effective when converting existing leads or past clients into customers are NPS scores or customer satisfaction surveys. One of the best ways to leverage your current/past customers is to use NPS scores and the satisfaction surveys that we discussed. So by including the right questions, you can gather some more information about which customers might be ready to upgrade or make another purchase, but also what pain points they might have, which can help you determine which features or products to promote to them. Next, for reporting, throughout your entire campaign, it is very critical to track and analyze data, not only to ensure that you're able to report accurately on the results of your campaigns, but also to give the sales team the best possible data to work with when they speak to leads and customers. So in this slide here, you can see a screenshot from some demo data that we have. You can see this was a mock campaign to convert the existing database. That's why you can see for new contacts, it's 0, but you can see that over 3,000 contacts were influenced, which led to 3 closed deals and the attributed revenue. And a platform with a robust campaign reporting will include things like asset association. So you need to be able to associate or tag, for lack of a better word, all of the assets used in your campaign. So for instance, any blogs, any landing pages, any emails, that type of thing to the campaign so that you can properly associate that activity with that campaign. Contact attribution, which here you can see how many contacts were influenced, but if it were a lead gen campaign, then you would see how many new contacts were obtained, as well as revenue attribution. These types of reports will allow you to analyze the success of your campaign further down the funnel, more than just if they just generated leads. You want to ensure that your reporting goes all the way to how many customers and revenue were generated from that campaign. Because leads are only quality if they are qualified by the sales team, you want to be able to show that in your campaign reporting as well. And the last strategy that we'll be talking about is lead scoring. Lead scoring is one of the most critical parts when it comes to marketing and sales alignment to make sure that the handoff happens to sales at the right time. So as we said, one of the best ways to do this is via lead scoring. And this just describes the process of assigning a score to different pieces of information you might have about a contact or the activities that your contacts partake in. These scores are cumulative. So when the contact's total score reaches a certain number, which is to be determined by your internal teams, actions can be taken to indicate that the lead is now qualified. So you want your sales team members to use lead scoring to understand how qualified their contacts are. And this will really help them prioritize. And they can send sales notifications, or the marketing team can send sales notifications to make sure that they're following up in a timely manner with those high scoring contacts, so they can focus more of their time and energy on those contacts more likely to close. Lead scoring is also useful for marketing. They can use it to understand which contacts are most likely to interact with campaigns, and which contacts need some more nurturing, or maybe which contacts we still have yet to pull some information. And that concludes the little segment on proven lead nurturing strategies. So now that you've taken your contacts, you've nurtured them through campaigns, you've reported on their performance, and you've also programmed some lead scoring, you are now ready to hand them off to sales. And I will now pass it on to Erica, who will describe a little bit about the best way to do so.
Perfect. Thanks, Diana. So in the handoff to sales process, you want to talk about a few different things. The first one is the handoff data. So Diana talked about lead scoring, but it is useful to, if you don't have a full lead scoring system set up, there are other ways that you can provide useful data to your sales team in order to give them what they need when they receive a lead. Even if you're not using lead scoring, make sure that that your sales team gets contacts that are fully filled out with fields and properties and everything that the marketing team learned about them throughout the lead nurturing process, so that they can know these things. They can know the pain points, they can know the segments, they can know everything that they need to have those one-on-one conversations more efficiently and effectively, and to close a deal. We're going to talk a little bit about shared dashboards briefly, but sometimes that's something that's useful for handoff data as well. The next thing is automated notifications. So automating notifications to the sales team when leads perform certain activities or meet certain lead score criteria can be helpful in letting them know how and when they should interact with those leads. For example, in the scenario where you are looking to get a free user to upgrade to a paid version of your software or technology, you could send a notification to your sales team member, to the sales contact owner, when a lead has clicked on an upgrade email, say at least twice. This lets them know that the prospect is probably interested in upgrading because they've been reviewing some of the information, they've been clicking on the links, and those kinds of things. If you wanted in more of an e-commerce scenario, or even a scenario where you're focused more on your website than on the emails, you could also notify a salesperson when a lead visits your pricing page, maybe a few times. When a lead visits a pricing page, that tells us that they are interested in more than just learning what you do, but in actually taking an action to see if you are the company that they want to work with to solve their pain points, to get their solutions from. So it's important to set up some of those criteria. And those are all things that can be used in lead nurturing, but they're also things that can be set up outside of lead nurturing if you don't have, or lead scoring, sorry. If you don't have the full capability to set up that entire system, you can just go with notifications based on some simple activities like email clicks and opens and pricing page visits. So another important thing to talk about when you're handing off to sales is campaign unenrollment. So sometimes when your sales teams receive a prospect from you, they no longer want that prospect to be receiving marketing emails. When they're interacting one-to-one and they're sending highly personalized, detailed information, maybe they're sending pricing, sometimes it doesn't make sense for that lead to still be receiving, say, a series of lead nurturing emails where we're going fairly high level and telling them about what the solutions are. That might give some confusion to the leads, and it also might get them maybe a little bit annoyed. So we want to make sure that we are able to remove leads from campaigns when sales is ready. So sometimes this can involve using a simple property that the sales team marks, no more nurturing, something like that, qualified, unqualified. Sometimes it can have to do with using your life cycle stages if you have those set up. So once they become a sales qualified lead, or once they have an open deal, something like that, you use that information to trigger the unenrollment or the suppression of your contact from your lead nurturing. And from there on, the way that marketing can help sales to continue to nurture those leads is to provide marketing assets and or content for, say, a sales sequence or a template for an email, something like that. And if those are terms that interest you, make sure that you sign up or tune in to part 2 of our presentation, in which the sales leader at Flawless is going to be giving a similar presentation to this, but based on sales instead of marketing, talking about bringing efficiency to sales with proven processes and sales automation. Okay, so feedback to and from sales. So the next thing that you want to make sure you have once you have gone through your entire lead nurturing process, once you have ensured that your leads are passed to sales, once the sales team has worked with them, communicated with them, etc., you want to make sure that you have accurate feedback, not just from sales to you to tell you things that you might be able to update or change in the marketing, but also from marketing to sales to tell them anything about how you notice a drop off in lead activity if the sales team doesn't contact them within 24 hours, things like that. You need to be able to provide that feedback to them, and they need to be able to provide that feedback to you to make sure that the alignment between sales and marketing teams is as optimized as possible. So here are a few strategies for how you can do that by setting up a single dashboard that both teams can view with some reports on it that allows them to look through how things are going in marketing and sales and how the conversion is going from those campaigns. So here are some examples of some dashboards. So you want to make sure that to keep your teams accountable, which means that you should also have regular touch points for marketing and sales to stay aligned. Having a dashboard to report on the activities and successes can help keep everyone on the same page. So you can start by setting up some reports to show how many leads are interacting with your campaigns. This is a good way for marketing to show the sales team how many leads are opening emails, are clicking on emails, are visiting the website pages, all of those kinds of things. And that will show them if they are looking at leads and they're saying, oh, I'm not, I don't know, none of them have booked a meeting. Having this dashboard of leads who are interacting can help them to see which leads or how many leads they actually might be able to take advantage of in the sales process, even if those leads haven't taken the step to book a meeting. If you have a lead scoring system set up, you can set up reports on high scoring leads, and you can show how much sales is touching those leads. This is a piece of information that the marketing team can use to see, okay, these are my top 10 high scoring leads for this month. And this is how many activities that the sales team has taken part in for them. So they have sent them 10 emails, they have booked 5 meetings with them. If these are all things that you can and you should report on in your CRM and your sales automation tools, it can be really helpful to get an understanding of how that's going. If you notice that your sales team has no interactions with a specific high scoring contact, or the interactions are very slow, they're very delayed, it's a good time that you as marketing can look at that contact and understand maybe why they aren't qualified, why the score might need to be adjusted, things like that, to get a better idea and optimize your qualification process. And lastly, you should always set up reports to track the close rate of campaigns. So we showed on the reporting slide under the lead nurturing strategies earlier that you can report on the number of contacts or number of closed deals that were associated to your campaign. So and there's a few different ways that you can attribute revenue and things like that. I won't go into detail on those here, but if you do have questions about that, we are happy to answer those in what will be part 3, which is going to be going over live Q&A. So you can set up reports to track the close rate of your campaigns to make sure that the campaigns you're running as marketing, even if they're very successful in getting leads to interact, even if they're very successful in generating new leads, even if they're very successful in passing leads to sales, if those leads then aren't closing deals, there's something that needs to be discussed, and whether that's a part of the actual qualification of the leads, whether it's a discussion you need to have on your persona or your ICP, and if that's the correct one, or whether it's a discussion that sales needs to have in their process. You can figure that out if you have the data to start from. So we always recommend creating as many reports as you can, as many different data points as you need to accurately track the success of your lead nurturing, not just until you pass to sales, but until the end of the funnel, until they are a closed deal. So that concludes the presentation for marketing today. And I wanted to make sure that I mention one more time that this is a 3-part series. So we are going to have our sales leader from our organization presenting another recording like this to go over effective sales processes and tips and tricks for using sales automation and CRM software to increase the efficiency in your sales process. And he's going to talk a little bit about sales and marketing alignment from the perspective of the sales team as well. So if you're a sales leader, definitely check that one out. And the third installment in this series is going to be a live Q&A. So after this, you are going to have the opportunity to submit some questions that can be addressed either in the live Q&A, or if we feel like maybe you want to have a little one-on-one session or something like that, we can also make that happen. So there'll be a live Q&A as well, and you will get an announcement with the specific date and time and everything for that coming probably fairly shortly. So once again, thank you for joining us today. We're very glad that you were able to listen. Hope you learned some valuable information, and we're looking forward to seeing you in the sales presentation and the live Q&A as well.
Hello, everyone. My name is John Robbins. I'm the sales manager at Flawless Inbound for part 2 of the series. For part 1, you met our marketing team. So this will be part 2, focused on the sales team. Before I get started here, just a disclaimer. This is not based on any particular technology, but all the best practices and some of the screenshots and features that you see here is from the HubSpot CRM, because we are a HubSpot solution partner, and those are some of the best examples that we can share with you. And with that disclaimer, I would like to get started here without much further ado. So I'm going to share my screen, and as you look at this slide deck, I'm going to turn off my video camera so that it's not a distraction for you. So in part 1, you talked about, or you listened to best practices on how to convert contacts in your database into paying customers. This is an extension of it. This is going to start off where part 1 left off. Okay, the marketing team does its magic. Now you've got a sales qualified lead. What foundational pillars do you need to have in place for your sales team to be able to maximize these leads and close many of them? That's what I'm going to target on or focus on. It's called efficient selling. Now the agenda for this presentation for the next 30 minutes is part 1. We'll be looking at aligning with marketing from a sales point of view, right? As a sales manager, what do I do to work hand in hand with the marketing team? Then we'll look at some of the foundational pillars that needs to be in place. One is designing a robust, repeatable sales process, which is very, very critical. Then, of course, CRM tools, sales enablement tools, and what are some of the most effective tools that you need to offer for your sales team, followed by how to use sales analytics to keep track on the progress of your team. So that will be the agenda. With that being said, let's focus on the first topic in our agenda, that is aligning with marketing best practices. Now, marketing and sales. I'm coming from last weekend. I attended a men's retreat, so I'm feeling quite macho now. And I would like to use this analogy for everyone here on this call. It's like a sniper team, right? And you need to make sure that once you guys take a shot, you get together, you talk, you strategize, and then you have to change your coordinates. You see how close the collaboration is. That's how it should be between a marketing and a sales team. I know it is cliche, it's been beaten to death, but you should never work in a silo. And when working with a marketing team, you need to share with them. By you, I mean the sales team. You have to share your knowledge of what personas are you looking at or are you focused on? What are their pain points? And what are some of the common objections that you face when you have a sales discussion with these personas? A marketing team should be provided with all this information. Of course, When the marketing team is accruing this information and working on an asset, they need to think in terms of jobs to be done for each persona, not just in terms of pain points. What are the jobs to be done? For example, for a sales leader, their main priority or the job to be done for them is to attain the goals, the revenue goals for the sales team, and to boost revenue. That's the job to be done. Increasing efficiency, increasing accountability, providing sales automations, all that is a means to get that job done. So when your marketing team approaches these personas, when they want to market your product or services, they need to think in terms of what are the jobs to be done, right? For example, if you're selling, another example is if you're selling a software that is going to reduce or keep track of the CO2 emissions by a business, you need to talk about not just about how easy it is to use, how easy it is to integrate the software to your existing ERP, but you need to think about the job to be done for an operation leader in this business. The job to be done is to get to net zero. And you got to talk in terms of how your product or your software will allow them to get to that net zero. Okay, so let's plow through here. Of course, once you have these conversations, you have to align with your marketing team and decide on what kind of assets should be in place for each step in the sales process. That is during pre-sales as well as during the nurturing phase. And then you should get together with the marketing team and align on common KPIs, common metrics, as well as create common dashboards as you go through these campaigns. So that's one way of looking at sales marketing alignment from a sales team's perspective. Now, let's say you have good alignment, you've started your campaigns, and woohoo, you have marketing leads that have been qualified as SQLs. Yes, what do you do now? Let's put our best salesperson on these leads and let's go ahead and close it. Well, let me tell you something, and you all realize this. If it's as simple as that, I will be retired by now, right? So what should be in place to be able to increase the close rates on the SQLs? You need to have certain foundational pillars in place. And the topmost is a standardized and well-designed sales process and a source of sales truth for our organization that captures these sales processes and keeps it consistent, right? So you need a well-defined and repeatable sales process in place. For many people, when we ask them, they say, yes, we do have a sales process. When we ask them to show it, it's either in their head or it's in a piece of paper somewhere. And every sales rep in the sales team is selling according to their own style. There's no consistency in the way they sell. That's why sales process is very important. Your sales team also needs to have an intuitive and robust CRM to make them more effective in selling, as well as make them efficient in selling. Also, this CRM needs to be configured to your sales process. This way, everybody knows what the steps are and what are the requirements in each of these steps. Then automations and workflows to make sure that through this CRM, to make sure that none of the leads slip through the cracks. And you need to make sure that you provide your team with sales enablement tools, which will maximize their selling time. So these are some mandatory foundational pillars that you need to have. Now, focusing on the sales process, how do you design a sales process if you don't have one? There are a few steps that we recommend and that has worked very well for us. Number one, you have to overlay your current sales process over your buyer's journey, right? And then you got to identify spots or stages where a prospect cannot proceed without the help of a rep. Grab those stages, and that should be part of your sales process. If a prospect can navigate it without the need of a sales rep, take that out. Don't include that as part of a sales process. Then, yeah, as I said, exclude all remaining steps. And once you have a sales process in place, now you got to streamline it. And for streamlining it, you got to check for these 4 criteria. Are these steps absolutely required? Are they factual? Are they inspectable? And are they biocentric? So for example, follow up. Follow up is something a sales rep does when the client goes dark or they haven't got an update from the prospect. So it shouldn't be actually part of your sales process. You should be taking it out. Factual. Is it something that you can verify in your CRM? Is it something that you can verify from a prospect, right? A prospect, for example, might have to have a discussion with the rest of the stakeholders to be able to move to the next step in their buying process. Now, is this a factual information that you can collect from them? You know they have to do it, but there's no way to guarantee that they have done this, right? So it is not actually a factual information. So your sales process shouldn't be based on that. Also, what every sales process should have an exit criteria or a metric that is inspectable in the sales CRM. For example, booking the next meeting or booking a facility tour or signing up for a free trial, whatever it is, right? So that's each step or each phase in your sales process should have an inspectable metric in your CRM, and it should be biocentric. Don't think in terms of a sales process from as a sales team. Be in the shoes of your prospect and think for the prospect. This way your sales team will get into that mindset. For example, don't call it a product demonstration or a demo. Call it a product evaluation. You see what I mean? It's as simple as changing the terminology so that your process becomes more biocentric. Also, every step in your sales process should be made mandatory. Even if there is an opportunity to skip few, you shouldn't let your team do that. Make it mandatory in your CRM. And continuing with designing a sales process, once you have a sales process in place and you have streamlined the stages with the criteria I talked about, you need to make sure that you have an exit criteria for each stage, at least wherever possible. An exit criteria, what do I mean by that? There should be something. Exit criteria is something that a sales rep needs to do to move the opportunity to the next stage. For example, is there some kind of information that they need to collect? Information on their budget, or do they need to get commitment to get their CIO on the call, or commitment for the next meeting? Or do you need to book the next meeting? So there should be some kind of a commitment that the rep needs to get from the prospect to be able to move that deal to the next step or the next stage in your sales process. That is exit criteria, and it's very critical because it has an impact on your forecasting as a sales leader. So make sure you include exit criteria wherever possible. Also, within these stages, if you need, make sure that you adopt the right sales methodology. What is a sales methodology? There are multiple sales methodologies out there. So depending upon the maturity of your product, of your business, depending upon the maturity and the knowledge of your sales rep, you can provide them with an opportunity to use different sales methodologies. When I say sales methodology, it is information or a framework on what a sales rep can do in each stage of your sales process. Some sales methodology and examples. Few examples of sales methodologies are Sandler sales, inbound sales, right? Challenger sales, etc., etc. Now, what we have seen is many sales leaders choose multiple sales methodologies and tinker it a little bit in order to suit their selling style, right? So it's entirely up to you. You don't have to force a sales methodology on your team, but it will definitely help. So once you have designed the sales process, you have a robust sales process, and you have configured that sales process in your CRM, you start getting SQLs. Now, you should have talked with your marketing already on handoff. How is the marketing going to hand off these leads to the sales team, correct? So that's the first step. And once you have agreement on that, you can either designate a person on the sales team. It could be the sales manager or one of the rock star reps or someone whom you trust to delegate this either manually to the team, or you can create automations to delegate this according to the style that's prevalent in your business. It could be based on region, it could be based on experience, on skill, based on product knowledge, etc., right? And this can, the lead delegation can be automated. And once the lead has been delegated, you need to make sure there are automated notifications in place that goes to the rep's inbox saying that, hey, so and so lead has been delegated to you, reach out as soon as possible. And if they don't reach out within a time window, then you should have reminders that goes out to the salesperson. This way you hold them accountable and you make sure that these leads are not left on the sidewalk, that your team is able to get to them in a timely fashion. Of course, as I talked about, you also should agree, have an SLA with your marketing team on the timeline for your team to be reaching out to each sales qualified lead. So that's a high level on how you can make lead delegation effective. And once the lead has been delegated, as a sales leader, you have to focus on the response time of your team, right? It's very, very critical. Your team has to reach out within within 5 minutes. Where, if your lead time, if your lead response time goes beyond 5 minutes, from 5 minutes to 10 minutes, that is a precipitous drop in the odds of you being able to qualify the leads. Harvard Business Review says that there's almost a 400% drop if you go beyond 5 minutes in your ability or in your odds to qualify the lead. And also, they figured out that less than 1% of the businesses, there are only less than 1% of the businesses reach out within 5 minutes. So if you're not doing this diligently, you need to make sure that your team reaches out as soon as possible, if possible within 5 minutes. And the way you do that is you need to create some standardized templates that goes out. It can be contextual templates based on trade shows or based on whatever activity that they have, that you see the prospect have in your CRM, right? So have some templates where a salesperson can quickly, within a couple of clicks, send out an email thanking them for their interest and share with them their meeting link so that the prospect can click and book a meeting. One key thing that you have to focus on is providing choice for your prospect, providing them with a meeting link or a phone number where they could reach out to the sales rep, right? So don't try to minimize the choices. The more choices that you have, the better for the prospect, and they'll be at ease reaching out to your sales team. So once you get the meeting with the prospect, then on the meeting itself, you have to provide sales enablement tools for your sales team. One of the sales enablement tools that we highly recommend is creating playbooks for different stages of your sales process. What you see here is an example of a prospect who had a free trial with you, and now you have nurtured them and you're having the first discovery call with them. So you can have these programmed for different sales stages in your CRM, and your sales rep can take notes and make sure that they don't miss out on any of these critical questions to be able to qualify this prospect. And what this does is it brings consistency in your qualification, as well as it allows your prospect to free their mind and listen better without having to worry about missing out on any of the solutions. So it's a very important tool, and if you don't use it, you need to use that to make sure that all the questions, the critical questions for you to be able to move this deal from one stage to the next, are in the CRM, and that your sales rep asks all those questions. That's one of the sales enablement tools that we recommend. Also, once you've finished that call, the first discovery call, your sales rep needs to make sure that they get commitment for the next meeting. And as they wait for the next meeting, what you can do is you can use the document tool to send out one of the assets that your marketing team has created. Like what you see here on the screen here, the GIF on the screen, you can directly drop these into the email, these assets into the email that you're going to send out, right? This can be a follow-up email that your rep can write manually, or it can be an automated email too. This way, you make sure that the prospect is engaged. So it's a document too. It provides a central location for you to quickly grab the document. And also, once the prospect engages, it gives you the analytics on the number of times they viewed it, the number of time, how long did they spend on it, how many pages did they view, right? All this will empower your salespeople to be more consultative in the next step. And it also provides the prospect an easier way to access your assets without having to download anything. So that's sales enablement tool number 2. And once that's done, you've finished your meetings, but your prospect is still not at a point where where they're ready to make a decision. You can start using sequences, as you see here on this GIF. What a sequence does is it captures your sales process or your nurturing process, and it automates it. It automates the multi-step nurturing process, and you can provide a personalized approach for each prospect based on their first name, last name, based on their company name, etc. And you can customize your approach to them. You can include videos in your sequences. You can include phone calls as part of the sequences, set up reminders. You can use the AI engine in HubSpot or any of the tools that you use to be able to send these emails out at the appropriate time for different regions. And what it does is it allows your sales reps to move from one prospect to the next if they feel that this prospect is not highly engaged or they are not ready to make a purchase right now. At the same time, it makes sure that they don't they are not unattended. The sequences make sure that they're engaged, they get the right assets, and you're constantly, it's almost like your sales rep having a constant conversation with them while they focus on leads that have a high lead score. So that's a very powerful enablement tool that you can offer your sales team to stay in touch with leads that are not yet ready to make decisions. Of course, there are many other tools, but those are the top 3 that I would recommend in the interest of time. Also, once that is all done and your sales team is using the process, right? You should be able to use the robust sales analytics that your CRM provides to be able to track their activities, because it's very critical to make sure that your team is on the money and are doing what they are supposed to do without you realizing that there are some gaps for a long time, right? So how many activities are they completing? What is the lead response time? Are we satisfying the SLA with the marketing team? The meeting outcomes, how many calls did they make to these SQLs? And they can record these conversations. You can listen to the conversations and you can use them to coach your team to be more effective and more successful in selling. Also, as you see here, you can pick the date range for which you need all these data. You can select and search by reps, by groups, by teams, etc., etc. So it closes the loop. It's not just providing them with enablement tools, but it also, as a sales leader, allows you to track their activities and to provide real-time feedback to make them more effective, right? And so those are some of the main highlights or foundational pillars that you need to have in place once your marketing team's campaign start bearing fruit and you start having SQLs. Don't just jump on the SQLs, grab at them, and go about it any way that you want. Make sure that there is a method to your madness and you do it in a systematic manner so that you can be data-driven in your optimizations. Other than that, once the opportunity or the lead has gone through the full sales cycle, there should be automations to loop it back to marketing so that they can continue nurturing these leads, right? And providing them with value unless they unsubscribe from your emails. Also, take this opportunity to provide constant feedback to marketing. You need to be meeting with your marketing team, not just the first time to align yourself, but reach out to them and keep giving feedback on your experience of using their assets, of talking to different prospects, of facing different questions, different objections, or any kind of market triggers, etc. Right? So go back to your shared dashboard and make sure that if numbers, if metrics that you agreed with the marketing team are not being met, you must be able to go back into your process and figure out what is going wrong and where is it going wrong. Keep teams accountable. And as I was talking before, provide updates on market trends. Keep the marketing team engaged, occupied, and up to date. Provide them with feedback on the assets that they have created and how is the interaction. How are the prospects interacting with these assets? Are they being useful? Are there any new objections that you have faced now that you need to consider as part of your sales nurturing strategy, right? And also look at leads where you are having the most success and look for consistencies so that you can replicate them in future campaigns, right? So these are some of the basics that a sales team needs to keep its focus on to make sure that you are leveraging these SQLs to the maximum extent possible, right? And that brings me to the end of this presentation. It's been 30 minutes. Thank you for listening to us. And make sure that you attend our live Q&A sessions on the 19th of October. So you've attended part 1, part 2, and part 3 is a live Q&A session. You'll get more information on that soon, and we'll be able to answer some of your questions real time. So thank you for listening to this. Happy selling, and see you all on the 19th. Bye for now.